great leader, and it was a big gap. Baba had been in the trenches and out 40 years plus. So he had been a big cog in this country. The country misses him, but he had also been a big cog in the ODM party. There's a saying that whenever a big tree of that magnitude falls, the buds will scatter. And maybe then patch after that. And so it was almost certain that there was going to be, some push and pull and so on before we settle. But looking at where we are today, I think we are more successful than many political parties in consolidating back at the party. We quickly put in place leadership of Dr. Buru as a party leader. We consolidated the positions of the rest of the leaders. We brought our parliamentary group together. We brought our MCAs together. We brought our governors together. And yes, there are those who have differing opinions on one single issue. By the way, we all have the same position on many things, but there's one specific issue that people feel differently about. And that is the issue of whether we support the broad-based government or we don't, and how we move into the next election. But you see, with that, Mdu and Grace, we have 109 MPs as a parliamentary group. If you look at those who feel differently, they probably after Baba leaving, there are those, by the way, MPs who left before Baba even passed. The Karolis of this world, the Onyonkas of this world, the people who were never with Baba even. But those who've moved after Baba's departure is only, Sifuna, Babu, and Amisi.
So you say they've left? Have they left the party?
They have not left the party, but they are in. What they are propagating is different from the party's position.
Okay.
This is what I mean. Because the party takes positions on various matters, and members are expected to fall in line with that position. Currently, they are propagating a different position. And why do I say this? The party has made a decision, and even before Baba left us, that we were in the broad-based government. They say this government is not something that they want to associate with or talk about. That's why I've said they've taken a different position.
Okay. When you have a whole secretary general and one of the deputy party leaders, of course, publicly defying the party's position, is it that you failed to convince them why they should join the rest in supporting President William Ruto's ambition?
When you go into party meetings, by the way, it's never unanimous. People convince each other, but then the majority's decision. Many times it's on consensus, but where the consensus is not possible, the majority's decision carries the day. And I want to say the Central Committee of the party, for example, has 15 members, and 2 out of the 15 don't agree with the position of the party. The NEC has 50 members. In the NEC, 4 out of the 50 members don't agree with the position of the party. So what I can say is that they have failed to align with the party's position. So they did not convince the majority of members on their position and then refused to align with what majority members agreed on. And Grace, you belong to, groups and organizations, and sometimes you don't necessarily agree. But when a decision is made by your group, you fall in line. And if you are the Secretary General of that group, which means you speak on their behalf, then you have you have no choice, actually, because you cannot speak on behalf of the organization and speak in the opposite direction. It is untenable.
Okay. Governor, for over 20 years, this is the first time that we are seeing a split in ODM, and it's really sad when we're having a certain faction that says they want this and another faction clearly saying that they want another. You are part of the team that initially, not too long ago, were criticizing the Kenya Kwanza government, but now, of course, you're siding with the with a broad-based government, and now you are aligning with the president and his policies. One may ask, where did all things change? And then number two, when Raila Odinga was alive, as much as he was still in the broad-based government, he never shied off from criticizing the government. So far from your end, is everything sailing smoothly because we've never had to criticize anything about the broad-based government?
Yeah, so let me start by the first point you raised, that this is 20 years and ODM has never split. I want to tell you that all these people you see, including William Ruto, who are founder members of ODM, whether it's Ruto, whether it's Musalia, whether it's, look at every leader across this country. Many of them founded the ODM party, but they left at some point and they grew to, become whoever they are today. Some also fell off. You remember we had secretaries general like Babu and the others. They've fallen off along the way. So this is not the first time that 2 or 3 people feel like they have to leave the party, or they have to take a different position. So that position, even when Baba was here, there were people who left, and Baba continued to consolidate and still build on the party. So this is not unique. It's not the first time. Coming on to the issue of the broad-based government and that I have been a critic. It is true. I did not vote for William Ruto. Neither did I vote for the broad-based the Kenya Kwanza government. I've also been a member of parliament for a long time on ODM, and I have been a fierce critic of regime after regime because we've been in the opposition largely, and that is our responsibility. Now, when we for purposes of stabilizing the country in 2024 moved into a broad-based arrangement, then we have to find points of convergence. And you're right that every time there was something that went wrong, Baba always said no. And even when things go wrong, for example, even on my end, when I feel, for example, there's infringement on our party's basis, or when I feel something is wrong, I may not come to public criticism. Sometimes I do come to public criticism, but many times I raise it in the relevant places that I feel that this needs to be corrected or this needs to be worked on. If, for example, on devolution, we have said publicly we want the monies to be increased, and that one we continue to push. But Grace, we are part of this broad-based government as ODM. It's good for people not to be. It's good for us not to cheat the public, to come here and say, no, we are not part of it. No, we only sent people. No, we only did this. It's just important for us to tell the public the truth, that ODM, our deputy party leaders are now ministers in government, people who are our deputy party leaders, our chairman, our minority leader. We are part of the broad-based government. That is one. And therefore, as much as possible, we have to support what we think is positive around it.
Does it fall in line with what Raila Odinga fought for the longest time? And I asked that question piggybacked on another. When the things that Edwin Sifuna, who, by the way, is he the Secretary General of ODM or not?
We removed him as Secretary General and he went to court. So he's a court Secretary General at the moment.
He's a court-agreed, court-allowed Secretary General of ODM?
He's a court-agreed, and the matter will be determined today. Yeah. So
as the other side of the leadership of ODM, you do not recognize Edwin Sifuna as the Secretary General?
No, because we removed him, and we removed him for reasons that we stated, okay? And which is that it was no longer tenable for him to speak on behalf of the party, because any party decisions, and by the way, it could be me, for example. The party could take a position that is different from what I believe. And I would say, look, I can no longer speak, this language. I'm sorry. So I cannot, it is no longer tenable for me to hold this position. I will be a member of the party.
Okay.
I will be a governor of the ODM party, but it is no longer tenable for me to be spokesperson on behalf of the party because I don't believe in those issues. So we removed Sifuna. We have Catherine Omanyo, who's a deputy secretary general, who's now the one acting as Secretary General. But the court, when Sifuna went to court to challenge the process of his removal, the court gave him a stay. As a law and order party, we have to recognize that. So today, we will know from the tribunal, and this is the political parties
tribunal.
We will know what their position is on the matter.
Okay.
If they say that he has been reinstated, then he is reinstated, and we have to now, if we still believe on our former position, we have to begin a new process.
Okay, sorry. In that regard, the things that he's been saying are the things that the things that he's saying have been the things that he was saying 6 months ago, a year ago, which in that process, Raila Odinga endorsed not once, several times, and said that when Edwin Sifuna speaks, he speaks for the party. Raila Odinga was unequivocal in his position about the words that he spoke. Make that